Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Junkin' for Joy with Dr. Gayla podcast interview. And, this is a place where we have fun. We talk about creativity, we talk about coaching, connectivity, and all of that beautiful stuff, spirituality, all of it. We just have a good time. So today I have another one of my friends who's hanging out with me today and clients too. So we have multiple little ways that we describe our relationship. I'm here
Yeah.
with Miss Valerie Knox, a home girl from Georgia with me, and so many great things to share about her. But as usual, I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm going to allow her to share what she wants you to know about her. So, welcome, Valerie, to the podcast.
Hello, Gayla. How are you?
I'm actually doing very well today. I had a really good morning. I got up and made some coffee and got a chance to watch some fun stuff on YouTube. So I'm feeling good today. How are you feeling?
I am doing good. No complaints.
No complaints?
Nope, no complaints.
All right. Well, what would you like people to know about you? Tell them a little bit about your story and just how we got here, what you do, and all that fun stuff.
Oh my gosh, how long is this podcast?
As long as we decide to talk.
Hang on, let me like, press the mute button on us because we can talk. But
No.
so my name is Valerie Knox. I pretty much grew up in Decatur, Georgia. What's really ironic is I met Gayla at a business event, Zija. We were formerly in business together with Zija. I really love those products. But what became so funny and ironic is we actually went to the same high school. And I'm not going to say how many years we were apart, but we did go to the same high school and realized that basically we grew up right around the corner from each other. So small world for sure. But based off of our work with Zija and just our connection, we, stayed in touch. Right now, I guess I'm a realtor. I'm an associate broker with a mentor real estate group powered by Real. So that's what I do full time, as well as a caregiver for my mom who is suffering from Alzheimer's. So
Mhm.
that's um that's pretty much my life right now.
Busy.
Busy, yes, very busy.
Very busy. Yes. And we actually, started talking a lot about life coaching and what it's like to have somebody navigate your life because we both have been caregivers. We both have experienced such life where you have to juggle so many things at one time. And that's really one of the other ways we connected was helping each other and working on the mindset and how do you get to a place where you can do this without pulling your hair out, where you just not completely all the way stressed out. And so many people don't realize how valuable it is to have another caring human in their presence. And so we want to definitely touch on that as we, talk more, because I think that's one of your superpowers and, to really help people and what you do. And, it's not only being on the receiving end of coaching, but also on the giving end of coaching, because you benefit both ways. We both get to benefit both ways. And so I'd love to talk about your real estate mission because it's more than selling a house for you.
It
And
definitely is.
yeah, and so tell me how you got involved in real estate to begin with. What made you say, I want to start in the real estate industry?
So, I was in corporate America. So I used to work for the railroad and I wanted something, that I could do to enhance my income. So I was looking, you have a part-time job. I'm like, I can't work at Marshall's because I wanted the money. I'm like, I'll be giving Marshall's or TJ Maxx or whatever department store, I'll be giving them back all of that money, when I was, on a mission to try and get some things done. So when I started looking at what I could do, I looked at real estate and I actually started out, in real estate part-time. And Well, now that you mention it, I guess I'm a caregiver for my mom now, but I was at the time I was a caregiver for my father as well. He's since passed away. But basically, I ended up getting fired from the railroad. They were not, I guess, the most gracious when it came to family and what you needed to do in order to take care of your family and to take care of yourself. And so I just fell back on real estate, from there and just moved into real estate full time, basically.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, I really like real estate. It was an opportunity for me to do something and help people at the same time. So I felt like I'm always helping people. Why not get paid for it? And real estate was kind of the best of both worlds as far as that's concerned. I have an opportunity to educate my clients, help them, direct them, guide them, through the house purchasing process. And then at the end of that, I get rewarded, I get paid. But I also have opportunity to meet a lot of really good people and develop ongoing relationships. So a lot of my clients, we stay in touch. I'm at the baby showers, we're at the weddings and the birthday parties and trips. So yeah, so it's been pretty rewarding for me and from the standpoint of it's also allowed me to expand my circle of people that I know and communicate with as well.
Hmm. So it sounds like you really enjoy it. And what I heard you talk about was the flexibility in your life, the flexibility in your schedule, that makes this such a beautiful career option for you. And when you're a caregiver, you have to have flexibility, right? Like you never know what somebody will need.
Absolutely. It definitely gives me, the flexibility that I need because I schedule my appointments. I schedule the time that I work and I'm able to pretty much do it from home. So even though I'm fortunate. I do have someone to come in and help with my mom, but if you understand anything about that disease, it's not always easy. And it's definitely not always easy, for the people who are caring for her or that that they see the most.
Hmm.
Usually we're given the hardest time. So it allows me to stay around and if I need to jump in and help the caregiver, who's awesome, I can do those things because sometimes I'm really the only person that can either calm down or get that movement started. So real estate definitely gives me, a lot of flexibility to be able to do for her and help other people. But, what I realized this year was that I spent so much time giving, and worrying about other people. And I realized that I probably wasn't doing enough for me,
Hmm.
which I know you talked about coaching and then that's where, you and I interacted as well. And so I started the coaching with you this year. I felt like this year was my time to just kind of really focus on me. And because basically I went from caregiver for my dad straight into caregiver for my mom. And when somebody is ill, whether it's physically or mentally, their problems seem so much more in need of what you have going on. As a caregiver, it's hard because you're always pushing to the side, what it is you need to do for yourself. And, I took some time and I just realized that this is a time where I needed to find more of a balance. Not that I don't do for my mom, but that I make sure I do for me as well. So, coaching has been, very beneficial, in terms of helping me accomplish that. So, yeah.
Yeah, because you can really get swamped when you're a caregiver, and I think that most people who are caregiving for their parents, or if they caregive for a living, and they're caregiving personally, all that makes a big difference. And I know a lot of my life was spent caring for other people, but now also caring caring, in the professional aspects of my life. But then I've cared for three people myself who have all transitioned. One of them was my father, my mother, and then my aunt. And all three of them were at the end of life. My mom did most of the work to care for my father because I was young and in college at the time. But every time I would come home, he would be sicker and sicker and sicker. And it was just so hard to watch. And finally, I was like, I want to help too. This is my dad. And, I want to spend some time with him, even if it is his last time, last few months on earth. And so, but watching that process can be very, very hard. It just pulls at your heartstrings, even though you're in go mode and you do what you need to do for that person. And when it came time for me to take care of my mom, which was, years later, it wasn't any easier. And she ended up passing away from small cell lung cancer in my arms. And so that was challenging. And it was one of those things where you're like, is this really happening to me? And it's not just the fact that they are in transition and they're passing away. It's what you have to do to prepare and all the arrangements and things you have to do. So thinking about all those things and what you had to navigate, how did you find the ability to navigate not only him passing, but all the stuff that has to be done? You and I talked about grief, and we talked about all the things that the person who's going through grieving has to do to set up the funeral arrangements, to set up all the details. Now you've been caregiving, you're sleep deprived,
You
and now
know,
it's funeral time. So, what advice would you give someone from your experience of what it was like to not only say goodbye to your father, but to be the main one doing the planning for everything?
you know, I I would really say my advice would be to do it now,
Mm,
so that your loved ones don't have to. It literally was he came home. My father was in the hospital from June 29th until September 13th.
mm,
And he went from the hospital to rehab back to the hospital.
mm,
And so my mom wasn't driving. It was just me pretty much. Doing all of that. She had appointments. It was just very chaotic. And it's not that I didn't have help, it's just that I was the more majority of what was happening. And because of her condition, I was also the point person for him. And the way hospitals are set up now, you have to answer your phone. I'm already a realtor, so I already answer my phone all the time because you never know who's calling, right? When that phone rings, that's money, right? Um, but also, I never knew if they were calling to say, a decision had to be made. So, um, the best advice that I have, my experience was I just wish I didn't have to do it.
mm-hmm,
It literally was the hardest week of my life. I thought it was gonna take me out, to be honest. Um, but the one thing, and it's good, when you know people, when you have coaches, when you have good friends. So, like I'll never forget the one thing when I was talking to you about it. And so thank God, it was like a no, it was a little consultation, but Gayla's real good about that. So, I thank her for that and for her good heart. But I was just telling her like every time the phone rung, I just felt like it was PTSD. And she said, change the ringtone. And I was like, what? She said, change your ringtone. And it doesn't sound like anything profound. It doesn't sound like, oh, it's gonna make a difference. But that small action changed everything because it took away that negative connotation with my phone ringing. And it allowed me to just reset and have a little peace with it. But the best advice, just as much as you can. And I mean, and even you and I talked about some of those things recently, and it doesn't always mean that you have to, if you have the money, you can set up the plot, do that, um, write your obituary, pick the pictures for your program. Just whatever you can do right now so that when you pass, it doesn't all fall on that other person. It's going to be helpful because there's so much going on and it's such a short period of time to try and get everything done. So you don't initially have an opportunity to like really grieve. You're just trying to get through the day, and get through the hour, get through the moment. Like, can the funeral just get here? Um, I was a little bit more fortunate maybe than some because my father was sick for so long. I had an opportunity to just try and process some things beforehand.
Hmm.
And it was, always my prayer, always my intention, when he had multiple myeloma, when it came back around for as long as he wants to fight, to just be there with him to help him fight. And when he was tired and ready to go, to be strong enough to let him go. And that really was a life lesson that I learned from watching someone else um, who had to be the caregiver for their mother, and how they had to, navigate through things. So I had a little bit of time to process that, he's really sick and we don't really know how much pain he's in. You never, if you're not experiencing it, if you haven't gone through it, you have no idea how much pain someone is in. What I did know is he had a high tolerance for pain. So when he did come home, when I would touch him and he would wince, I knew that he was in a lot of pain. So ironically, my dad passed away on the 20th. And I'll never forget, that's a Monday. That was September. September 20th is when he passed away. On the 19th, I was like, who's about to be a birthday boy? My dad's birthday was September 21st. And he said, who? Not me.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, really? And I was like, well, come on, Dad, you have a birthday coming up, and I was just really trying to cheer him up. I could tell his spirits were down. Excuse me. And then he actually passed away on the 20th. And like he passed away on the 20th. So he knew. He knew. And even my sister was saying it's not looking good. He was saying that he was tired. And when she told me that, I was good because he had fought so long,
Mm.
with just trying to hang in there and be there for us. And I think when you do right by people, when you do right by your parents or your loved ones, you can take comfort in knowing that you did everything you could to make their last days as pleasant
Mhm.
as you could and to make sure that they were as well taken care of as you could. So I took a lot of comfort in that as well. And then I also gave, let's not to mention it, but I had a closing that day. And I
Wow.
couldn't I couldn't leave. So imagine you come. I came back over to my mom's house. I'm the one that found him. I had to start all of the phone calls. I had to start um all of the calling everybody over, letting everybody know. But then what was so ironic is when I called our pastor, I'm expecting because I'm grieving, my dad just passed, and he was like, oh, that's so. And I was like, wait a minute, what? I'm expecting comforting words. And then they came because he was here, he was in in-home hospice. And then by this time had lots of family members over, aunts and uncles and friends, good friends of the family, and there probably was about 15 or 20 of us here. And then the other pastor came, he was doing prayer, and then he's crying, and I'm sitting here like, Mister, you're about to have 15 people falling out on the floor. So I like all these things. That I'm like, where is our support? I'm like, is he really crying? And I'm thinking, just end the prayer before everybody falls out,
I know. Bless your heart.
So, I mean, it's funny now, but then I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Um, but it was just a testament to though that he was well loved.
Hmm.
you know. So that's how I took it. It just was surprising. Not that he was well loved, it just was surprising everybody else's reaction because I'm thinking, I'm the daughter. I'm thinking I'm the one that should be, in tears right about now. But I had a closing that day, and we don't typically, it was during COVID, the tail end of COVID. We don't typically have to go to closings, but there was some difficulty at the end, with my client. And I knew that if something were going wrong and I didn't show up, she wouldn't know what to do. So, it just comes a point in time where, sometimes you just have to do, what it is you have to do because you only have moments. Everybody's, they have emotions built in, they have money on the line, just so you have to be there, So I went to the closing and then ironically, um there was nobody else in the office. So it was a satellite office. He needed a witness. So had I not showed up,
Wow.
they would not have had the witness for the closing because nobody else was there. It was just me, my client, and the attorney. And I was like, thank God I went. Thank God I didn't, let what happened to me overtake me to the point to where I couldn't still do what needed to be done for someone else. So I don't know. That was probably a lot of talking for a quick question, but yeah.
No, it's a loaded question because it's a loaded life,
Yeah.
and when we're talking about somebody transitioning and what all the things that has to happen for a person to go from sickness to passing away to removing the body from the home. I mean, all the things that have to happen, the people getting called over, the family members that want to say goodbye, like all of that. Then you got to plan the funeral. Then you got to make sure that the gravesite is taken care of, and your own life doesn't stop because of that. For a lot of people, they are working through this experience and it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of tenacity, and it takes just a lot of resilience to be able to navigate all of that and your emotions, managing your emotions. I think sometimes you have a little bit of out of body experience from it. You just go into get it done mode. And then after all that's over, you have to process.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I'll have time where I can, deal with this separately.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I don't know, not to sound cruel, but I was like, he's gone, and I can't help him right now. But if I leave my client, then I'm gonna possibly leave her in a position that's not gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he wouldn't want me, I'm just thinking about my dad, he wouldn't want me to skip out on my obligations because he passed. He wasn't that
Yes.
type of person. Um, and I wasn't raised that way. I'm not that type of person, but it really was. I'm like, if I thought she could handle it, maybe, but she wasn't going to be able to talk to the people. She didn't have the contacts, so it was a really crucial situation in terms of making sure that everything went smoothly with that closing. So,
Hmm. Yeah, and it speaks to who you are as a professional. It speaks to your work ethic and all of the things. So we like to make sure we brag on folks when they come, because we want people to know that the all of us everyday folks are leading some really miraculous and superpower lives. We're like super women, getting this done, getting that done, and nobody knows about it because your head is down and you're just focused and driven and helping people and being on mission. We call it being on mission.
yeah,
And you do have a mission, and your mission is more, Valerie, about caregiving and taking care of people. The word care comes up for you every time we have a conversation, and it's so much more than a transaction. And that's what I think a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for people to work with, to partner with, to confide in. Because let's face it, purchasing a home, it's not an easy process. There's a lot of emotions that move. There's a lot of patience that has to be cultivated for someone to work through that process in a smooth way. And without you having that heart for it, you're caregiving for your real estate clients, you're coaching them, you're helping them, you're doing all of that for them. So it's just one circumstance, may be your mom or your dad or whomever, but in the other circumstance could be your clients. But that person that you are is the same in both situations because that's just the type of human that you are.
Yeah. And I mean, with real estate, it's so much goes into it. So people see the tail end of it. So they see,
Mhm.
showing the houses, went under contract, and, the person moved into, um, the house, right? But sometimes it's first and foremost, people typically come to us first. And that's not always the first place to start. Well, for us, it starts with your pre-approval with your lender. But
Mhm.
normally people reach out to a realtor first. And so then from there, it really is your job and your obligation, if you're doing it well, to help them navigate the steps, in terms of getting things situated and set up so that they can begin that process. But everybody's not always ready at that
Mhm.
time, right? So you don't say, I'm not going to help you because you're not ready. At least I don't. I don't think that's a smart business model, right? And I tell anybody, if you want a house, more than likely you can get a house. We just got to figure out what needs to be done to get that house. So I like to look at it as we sit down and we develop a plan together. So you have a really short period of time to develop trust, to have a rapport, to just really sit down with people. I mean, Gayla, you have to ask so many questions. So you're all in everybody's business, basically, is what I'm saying. So,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
tell people all the time, I'm like, if I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to help you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if it's a credit issue, I need to know that it's credit so that we put you with the right lender who can help you with credit repair. If it's money, I need to know what you're working with. If it's income, that's a little bit tougher. That's more on them. But then we sit down and we have that conversation, and you still can strategize and learn exactly what it is you need to do in order to get that home. So everybody that comes to us, some people I work with them for a year before they were even ever ready to purchase.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, it is coaching because we're sitting down, one person I sat down, I'm like, we're gonna do a budget. Like after everything was said and done, it was you need to be on a budget because this is where
Mhm.
you need to be and this is what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
So it's also listening. So you really have to listen to what it is that they want and what it is, that's needed, so that's really key too. And I tell everybody my goal is to help you find, what it is you're looking for. So the only way to do that, again, it's a conversation, it's communication, right?
Yes.
It's so many different things. It's not just me walking up and opening a door. When I go to my showings, I walk through that house with them. I'm looking at what they like and what they don't like because sometimes we're on a tight schedule. And so
Mhm.
we need to maximize our time. So if I already know if the house is at the back, at the front, if the master bedroom is at the front and all the kids' bedrooms are at the back, and that's not something you want, then we're going to find the master bedroom first. You
Mhm.
know, if it's a big kitchen that's a must have, and it doesn't matter what the rest of the house looks like, if that kitchen isn't right, you're not going to go. We're going to look at the kitchen first because that dictates, how we move, through that house or if we even need to stay. Because it's really all about what it is you want, what's important to you.
Yeah.
So what becomes important to that client is what becomes important to me because that's my job to help you find the house that you want and that you love. So,
Yes.
I
So,
tell
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because as you're talking, the first thing I hear is trust. Like you have to really develop trust. And I think in this day and age, that's one reason I wanted to talk to you here and let people hear you talk because sometimes we don't know a person and you may be going off a referral from someone perhaps, but
Mhm.
otherwise if you're looking for a realtor or you're looking for really a realtor and a coach and a guide, it's more than just someone to do the transaction. You got to have trust with that person. You have to have camaraderie with them. And so as you were talking, the first thing that was coming to me was you have to have a way to cultivate communication and trust with them, which is what you need in any coach.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely have to trust that they know what they're talking about, excuse me, and that they can get you to the finish line.
Hmm.
And sometimes you just need enough to get to the next step. Sometimes it's a work in process because part of it is, are we a good fit? You know, um, sometimes personalities don't mix. It has nothing to do with abilities. It has nothing to do with what that person is willing to do. Just personalities, don't click sometimes. But you have to definitely have that trust. There is nothing worse than, having a transaction and telling a client, this is what's happening, this is what's needed,
Hmm.
and they're listening to somebody else who may not even be a realtor, you know. And I don't care if you bought 10 houses, 15 houses. I'm not saying that you don't have knowledge or that you can't, guide someone. But what I am saying is this is what I do every day.
Hmm.
This is what I'm looking at every single day.
Yeah.
And I know how to navigate people through this process. And there are very few people, they're, being honest, transparent. There are some people we just didn't work. They went their way, I went my way. No, no hurt, no harm, Um, they were like they couldn't find or didn't, see what they wanted or could find what they wanted, and it was fine. I tell people all the time, I'll be here in a year, two, three, whenever you want to come back. But really what I found is that the people who are open, the people who listen, the people who understand, and who have, like you said, that trust, every single time they end up with a home.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yes.
So it's so important to me to, really, develop that because that's the end goal, right? To find a place that you absolutely fall in love with. It is literally the largest purchase that most people will make in their entire life. So there's a lot at stake,
Hmm.
you
Yeah, because
know, mm,
it's a home.
with it's a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
not
a
just a
lot of
house.
money.
It's a
Yeah. Not
home.
just a house. And and it doesn't matter if the home is 100,000, if the home is 1 million, right? For that person, that home is probably the largest purchase that they will make in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So that I do believe, we have the option, as realtors to say, yes, I will work with you, just like clients have the option and the opportunity to say, yes, I will work with you. It's a two-way street, right? Someone could come to me and say, I want to work with you. And I could say, no, that's okay. Thank you. Right? And I mean, and people do it to us all the time. You don't hear that it can happen the other way, right? But you can. But I do get really frustrated when I do have clients that come back if they're made to feel like their purchase wasn't big enough or enough, or they weren't treated in a certain manner because you have the opportunity, if you're not going to treat that person a certain way, you know, you have the opportunity not to take them on as a client, and that's okay too, you
Hmm.
know. But don't take someone on and then discount how you treat them,
Yeah.
So it's so many horror stories out there, with real estate, but it's just like any industry, some are better than others. And I just do my best to be one that's better.
There you go. There you go. And I was just thinking, to ask you, how has getting your own personal coaching helped you to become a better professional for people, or just better at life, better at juggling. Because as we're talking about the buyers and all the different personalities you're navigating, all the different stressors that they may have as they're attempting to purchase this home, or all the surprises that come up. I need an extra piece of paper for this. I need an extra verification for that, or whatever may come up that especially a new home buyer may not know. And that you have to be able to juggle that. You have to be able to navigate that particular person and what they're going through. So, how has getting coached yourself helped you become a better coach for your clients?
So it's a two-part answer to that. I think a lot of that I think I already had. I think that is my superpower, being able to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what it is somebody needs, and help them get to, that next level, right? Um, but as far as the coaching part of it, what I think it helped me individually, which if I'm better, then I can be better for somebody else, right? That's what I think coaching did for me. Um, Probably helped me be, a little bit more organized, right? A little bit more intentional with not what I do, but how I do it, maybe is the way to say it. So a little bit more intentional,
Mm-hmm.
but just the navigating, and I joked all the time. I've had people, and they call, we did new construction, and literally, Gayla, we started in November. And it was 2019. And why won't I forget that? Because that's during COVID. And in November and December, I think it rained almost every single solitary day. And why do I remember that? It's because we had new construction and they were starting from the ground up and they could
Mm-hmm.
not do any work. We did not close until June or July of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of delays. We had COVID, we had weather, we had permits weren't done. But every step of the way, you also look for the positives, right? They
Yes.
always gained something. And so I always had to point it out. So I called them my counseling sessions because she would call and I would have to listen. And then I would take her off the ledge. And so just imagine going from, and she always started at the beginning. So here it is, March.
Yeah.
We're starting all the way back at November when we went under
Mm-hmm.
contract. And then I would have to remind her, every single time there's a delay, you got something. Great. So all I
Yeah.
started doing, I say, so when it's a delay, I just start waiting for what it is you're gonna get. She was like, well, that's true, that's true. And I'm like, yeah, because every time, literally every time there was a delay, she got something. And I was like, well, yeah, it's a delay. Well, we can't control the weather. We can't
Yeah.
control this. There's a lot of, we can't control supplies. It's the height of COVID, right? And I was like, but I bet you're about to get something.
Something good is on the other side of that rainy
Something good
cloud.
is on the
Yes.
other side of that rain cloud. And sure enough,
Yes.
she would get something. So she had a very long wait, but she got a lot for her weight. So,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to, sometimes it's just understanding and educating, right? That's how I
Yes.
feel. It's a lot of education. So I do personally, I try to educate my people ahead of time so that when we do come to bumps in the road, then I can say, remember, we had this conversation and this can happen or that can happen and this is how we work through it. So having the knowledge to know how, to work through, those things. And I'm not saying I always know it all, but if I don't, then I have resources to where I can, because it's so many different ways to do real estate. It's so many different ways to put together contracts or to negotiate or so sometimes you do have to reach out, so it's important to have those relationships as well. So I'm very
Mm-hmm.
fortunate to be around other agents and on a team that has a diverse level of experience so that if it's really something that I can help you with, I can get an answer. And that's how I
Right.
look at it too. So I'm not going to tell you something if I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the fastest way to break trust. So and then I refer, I'm not your lender. So I can tell you very basic things, and then I'll defer you to your lender because I want you to have the right answer. You need to be able to make decisions based off of good information. And I feel like once you have the information, you can make the decision. It's not my decision, it's your decision. And we'll do what it is because we work for you. So I'll do what it is you want me to do. I may not always agree with it, but I'm going to do, you know, once I present that information and you make a decision, my job is done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
and then I find that most people can handle that. If something goes wrong, but it's a decision they made, then they're the ones that's responsible, not me. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have to have boundaries, you have to have trust, you have to have all these things. And so if someone is thinking about the real estate industry, they have to have some grit. They got to have a little, resilience. They got to be able to navigate change. They got to be able to have their own patience. So just thinking about anyone who's in sales, anyone who is in an industry like this, or even in the coaching industry, we have to go first to be
yeah,
able to help somebody else. You have to be the one to navigate this process first. You have to be the one to experience the ups and the downs, as well as being a human being who is feeling all of the emotional things that happen in life as well. And to me, that's been one of the most valuable parts of coaching for
right,
me, is to say, okay, I'm doing this work, I'm doing this mission to help someone and to get my clients, like you say, across the finish line. But what about all the things that come up for me? Because I'm in growth. I'm always in a growth cycle. And I'm sure things change in your profession, laws change or
right,
processes change or different things come up. So you have continuing education you have to have for your own self. You have to get yourself together and make your calls and go out there, and you're driving all day in traffic or
right.
picking up people. There's a lot that you mentally have to navigate to be the best at who you are. So I know I just want to say congratulations to you. I have my pom poms because I love to celebrate
Ah,
with people when they
that's
are
funny.
doing awesome in life, and when they are
Thank you.
doing awesome in, you know, in making choices that you don't have to make them. You're choosing to become a better person. We're
Right,
choosing to, become better at our craft and become better at managing all these different things, because the next level is going to require a different version of ourselves. So
absolutely.
congratulations on, because y'all don't know all the behind the scenes stuff that Valerie does. She is talking about it, but you have no clue what it's like for her to even be here with me right now, this time in the day, like getting up, getting ready, taking care of her mom, taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of, and hanging out on this podcast. So, the before we go, I do want to ask you, what do you do for fun? Because this podcast is about junking for joy. We want to talk about joy, and I know your work brings you a lot of joy. And I know getting people's results and being a loving, caring person and watching somebody else win brings you joy. But what do you like to do that is fun for you? Since we're talking about
Um,
all this life
wait.
stuff.
You know what? I'm going to touch on that real estate part right quick though, because it
Yeah.
is funny because I tell people, you spend so much time calling them and everything. I had to learn. Then after you close, it's like, I need to call. And then it's like, oh no, we close. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. And then it's like, oh no, wait, we close. I don't have to call them. And then you just looking at the phone and it's like, I tell them all the time, I'm like, you're going to miss me.
Ain't gonna miss each other.
You're gonna miss me when
Yeah.
it's gone, because we're doing a lot of stuff. And you're right, their joy is their joy. And then it's so funny when especially when it's new construction and you're going from the ground up, you're like, you've walked that house so many times, where like all
Mhm.
the rooms are and this, that, and other. And then when you go back to the house, it's like, I can't just walk through the house anymore because they actually live here now, And then they're like, you know where it is, go get it. So, I mean, but you do have a lot of joy when you do finally find that home because you're riding I am anyway. I'm riding that roller coaster right with them. I know sometimes people don't get the house, that they wanted, but I tell them all the time, when you find your house, the house that's for you won't even remember about this house. And that's never failed
It's
either.
true.
But what I do for me personally, for joy, I hang out with my family, my daughter. I like to travel. I go to the Falcons game. I did that for me. I have Falcon season tickets and I don't want no comments, no nothing. I don't want to
Don't
hear
say
it. I don't want to hear about the record. I don't want to hear about the coach. I don't want to hear about the season. I don't want to hear it. I'm a diehard Falcons fan still, and I know, you know, that's not always fun. It definitely wasn't fun
No.
last year.
God bless them, but it ain't.
Oh my gosh, it was not fun at all last year. So we're hoping for better this year. But so I have season tickets, so I go to the Falcons game. Because I love football. I love my Atlanta Falcons. So I find moments, to do things. And then again, having coaches, having good friends, it makes you stop and think, about some things. I had one friend to say, you don't practice self-care. We're going to get a massage and we're going out to lunch,
Yes.
and so you stop and think, and again, this year is a little bit more intentional, but what I really, really like to do is I like to travel. So I like to meet new people. I like to see different cultures. And I love the beach. The beach is absolutely my happy place. I could go to the beach every year. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's it. So yeah,
That's it.
that's
So,
it.
out of all this stuff in life, the last question I have for you is what brings you the most joy?
As far as what?
Life. Anything. It could
As
be anything. Like
Oh,
this brings me
dang.
joy. So, what brings you? It could be simple. What brings
Yeah,
you the
I mean,
most joy?
I do what I do. My family. I believe, Gayla. My family brings me the most joy. Now, my daughter,
Yeah.
when she was growing up, maybe not so much because she was growing up. But you have to be a parent. I was not. I was not a new age parent. So, I was like, we are not friends. You can talk to me, but you're not my friend. You're my daughter. But now we're at a point where we can be friends and we can hang out. I mean, we hang out at the farmer's market, so we'll go tag team groceries and we'll cook like what you cooking. This is what I'm cooking, this is what I'm cooking, and we swap meals,
Yeah.
So just doing things with her, but probably probably
Yeah,
brings
I think
me
so too.
traveling brings me the most joy to the
Mhm.
beach. And really, because I love the beach so much, I don't usually get to go anywhere else. Because I'm like, if I take one or two trips, especially if I'm
Yes.
just doing one trip, it's going to be to the beach. So, um, after this year, the new goal will be to do more than one trip so I can hit some land sometimes. But then that's still hard because I probably will still hit the beach.
There's land at the beach. It's the sand.
Yeah, but I
Lower your
mean, like I haven't been to London, I haven't been to
Oh yeah.
Paris, I
There
haven't
we
been
go.
to England, I haven't been to Germany, and I'm like,
Yeah, that would be
I
the
just feel
cool
like,
trip.
yeah, I just feel like they'll always be there. I did do Japan, but
Yeah, so travel is where your heart starts to really. I agree. I think
yeah,
when you travel, you
travel.
become a totally different person. So I'm sure all of this is going to shift for you. And I mean, that's my biggest dream for anyone that I'm with or anyone that I'm, working with or that I get to hang out on this podcast with is truly living your best life and finding joy in the day to day and finding creativity, getting out of the grind and all that stuff sometimes.
Well,
So it's good to beach
beach house
house.
is my end game. So yeah.
I know. Yes,
Beach
it
house.
is.
Yes,
Beach
beach
house.
house is my end game, but
Yes.
but again, too, Gayla, is because I want a place, like my family and friends, if I want to say, hey, come on, let's, go over here, then we always have a place to go and we can just hang
Mhm.
out, for the week. Now, when we get there, I might not do anything, but that's because I'm always ripping and running and doing, but I literally can sit on the beach
Me too.
all day, all day. So,
Me too.
yeah, so that's my end game, beach house, the beach. That
All
probably makes
right.
me the happiest. I think it rejuvenates me.
It does. It's a different type of feeling. So I might be joining you on one of your trips. It's time for me to
it's a
experience
very good reset,
some beach
It's a
life. Yes, it is a great reset.
it's a
It is a
very
great
good
reset.
reset. It re-energizes me, and then I feel like, it just ramps me up, for the next thing. So yeah,
That's your happy place.
that's most definitely my happy
What's your
place.
favorite beach to go to, or what part of the
Ah, you know
world
what?
do
My
you like to go?
absolute favorite place right now is Jamaica. If I could go, I would every single solitary year, every year, I would go to Jamaica. Do you hear me? If I had already been everywhere I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot to do because okay, the beach is my happy place, but I can't swim, so don't judge me.
Oh,
Um um but it was so much to do when we went to Jamaica. And I had been wanting to go for a while, and I most definitely I wasn't disappointed. So we actually went many years ago for a destination wedding. And now I've been to Hawaii, I've been to Costa Rica, I've been to Mexico, Cancun, and by far Jamaica was the
wow.
best. It was the best.
Mm.
I went to here. We'll go to Jacksonville, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
went to Orange Beach or Gulf Shores, Alabama. And I went there last year, but I think that that probably would be like my once a year trip here. It was perfect. The weather was perfect. The beach was perfect. It wasn't too crowded. I was able to stay out there literally all day. So, that probably would be like
That's your
my,
favorite.
that's probably my, I mean, because St. Augustine was nice too in
Mm-hmm.
Florida. It was nice. It had kind of like a Savannah-ish feel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
so
just had an idea come in as we're talking. You have got a junk journal on those trips. I'm sure you have photos. I'm sure you have plane stubs and ticket stubs and places that you went, postcards. Oh yeah, we gotta come. We gotta have a travel junk journal for you, y'all. Y'all
well,
listen.
you know
I'm
what? I
challenging
kind of
her.
do it with my Pandora bracelet. So
Yes. Oh
yeah.
man, but a junk journal too. That's junking on your bracelet.
Hmm.
That's the whole purpose of it is to have memories from places you've been.
Yes.
But there's
Hmm.
something about creating the pictures and the memories and having the book that you, because some people do that. They make travel
Definitely
junk journals
do.
and take it with them when they go. So when they go, those of
Hmm.
us that love to do it, we like to take our journals with us places,
Okay.
and you can put it right in there. Like, if you go to a favorite restaurant or sightsee somewhere or whatever, you can gather mementos and put it right in your travel journal. So that's just a
That's a
little
good
tip
idea.
if something
Yeah,
fun.
I never thought about doing
Um,
that. Yeah, okay.
yeah, because it's something that we don't think about doing until we do it. And it for those people that really enjoy it, it brings them a lot of joy to just
Okay.
really collect those mementos. Because when you come home, you can flip through it and
Yeah, because
and it builds as you go, and there are people you can meet along the way and they can sign it. And you remember how the yearbook used to be at the end of the year and everybody would sign your
yes.
yearbook. You can get people to sign your travel journals and be like, oh, I remember her, she sat next to me on the plane, or like it can become a movement. So you have your
Hmm,
Pandora bracelet with all your memories, and that just dropped into me to say the way
that's
you
a good
light up when
idea.
you talk about beaches and travel, man, oh man, I could imagine just looking through a memento or creating. You can even do a digital junk journal, but I personally like the ones you put your hands on. So
Mm.
anytime you want to go shopping for one, let me know.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good idea. So normally I travel with my daughter. I used to travel with my mom before she got ill, but normally I
Mhm.
travel with my daughter, and she for real, never meets a stranger. So
Yes.
she probably would really, really, really enjoy the junk journal. But I think, that's something nice too. I'm just saying she'll probably have more signatures in it than I will, but 'cause she's like my dad. They did not meet strangers. They do not meet. My daughter does not meet strangers. My dad did not meet strangers at
Yeah.
all. So,
So, me either. So I can relate, but I don't think you really meet strangers either. I think you're willing to help so many people and do so much. They become family before you know it.
Yeah, I mean, good people are good people, Gayla,
That's it.
But they like, I may not always initiate that conversation. They were initiators.
Oh yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, they were social, they were initiators. But I mean,
Hmm.
I'll talk to people. Yes, I may not always be the person to initiate that conversation, but I will definitely talk and have a conversation, and we can, in the grocery store line, and we can stand there for a minute. Yes. But they definitely, well, my dad never met a stranger. Like we
That's
really used to hate for him to say, "We got to go back to the store before we can eat." We'd be like, "No," because he didn't know how to go there
because
and
he
just
one
get what
couldn't
he
go.
needed. He didn't know how to go and just get that and come home. And and then this was back when you sat down at the table and everybody ate together. So
Hmm.
you already hungry, and then it's an hour later, and he's like, "Man, and this I just Miss So and so," and it's like,
That's sweet.
no, because then sometimes he still forgot stuff, and he had to
Yeah,
go back, and was like, "We don't need it."
I know, right?
He's ready to eat, but
That's a
no, but
blessing.
that's a really good idea, though. I like that. I like that
Mhm.
idea. It'll probably
Yeah.
make me print my pictures instead of leaving them in my phone.
Right, right. Like old school. I want an old school Polaroid. Like that's on my manifestation list is to
Oh,
actually take
that's
some old
fun.
school Polaroid pictures. They make cute ones now that you can purchase. And I had one when I was little, when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I think most of us grew up with one, and they still create them. And so I said that I was going to buy one and take some pictures just of people.
That's a good idea too, especially for the
Yeah,
junk journal because you can just put
you
it
can just
right
put it
in.
right
That's how
in
you can put
there.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Give
looking
me
forward
some
to that. As a matter
prompts.
of fact, I have a friend coming that I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm gonna take my journal with me and get her to sign it. So yeah, we're gonna create us a trend. Get your junk journal signed, y'all.
You bringing the Polaroids back, huh?
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring that. A lot of people use them
I know.
in the crafting world, but I
Mhm.
haven't bought one in a since I was little. So I will be getting one. So if anybody knows about any
They
good
have the
junk
small ones
journal
too. I think we had got in for my daughter where they
pictures.
print off the small pictures, the
Mm-hmm.
Polaroids. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like cameras. I actually have a nice that's probably the other thing. I forgot about that. I used to take pictures a lot. So but now we have the digital picture, but I had the regular film camera too, nice
Mhm.
35 millimeter. Got that from my dad,
Me too.
So I do enjoy, taking pictures with a camera as well, but just, the phone is so easy now and the pictures
Yeah, it
turn out
is.
so nice. It's just one less thing to carry when you're a bag lady.
I know, right? Well, on that note, we have to have a part two because I'm a bag lady, and it's when your friends talk about you and they know it's you walking in the airport because they can see all the stuff around you that you are truly a bag lady, and they were laughing at me. So, excuse me. On that note, I think we're gonna close for this particular segment, but I have a
Sure.
feeling after your next trip, we're going to come back and talk again and enjoy hearing some of this travel. And because when you live the life you have, when you're busy, when you're a caregiver, y'all, it's so important to get out. That is one thing I was able to do. I was able to go and do some fun things with my friends when I was a caregiver. And because it can be a full-time thing sometimes. So for anyone who's listening, and you're a caregiver, I know some people have reached out to me on Facebook talking about how hard it is to be a caregiver, especially for someone who does have something long term. Get out, go travel, go put your feet in the sand, even if it's just for a day. It's amazing how your body can get so much healthier and how much your mind can free up and get you a junk journal and start putting fun things in there. And just if you do that little bit at a time, it can make a huge difference. So thank you, Valerie, for hanging out with me today and the Junkin' for Joy and all of that.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having me. As always, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And congratulations on doing what you've done for humanity. So, all right, everybody, we'll be back with another episode. I'm not sure who's going to be in the hot seat with me then, but I'm excited to do another interview and inspire you to live your best life. So, sending you love and light, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.